Monty once again from DPO Surveillance Equipment. We're a full-service surveillance and security equipment company. We have lifetime guarantees and warranties on all the products. We have 24/7, 365 tech, sales, and customer support. And as usual, I'm doing my morning chores. So for those of you trying to reach me at this particular time, you probably should leave a message or call back later or something. When I'm doing my podcast, that's the priority, to do the podcast. The website is for people who want to order something. So we spend a lot of time and money and put a lot of effort into that website. So we encourage you guys to use it. So this particular, as I mentioned, we have lifetime guarantees and warranties on all the products, round-the-clock support, sales support, tech support, customer service, and a humongous video library. What else? Lots of podcasts like the one you're listening to now, or going to listen to. Lots of blogs, lots of articles. Just a humongous, also a video product demonstration library. You name it. We're all about education. We're all about information, as well as selling things. We like selling things. We like renting things, and we like to to allow you guys to lay away our products. But we like to put a lot of emphasis on education. That's kind of what we're all about at DPR Surveillance Equipment, an educated consumer and customer base. Not to mention, overall just raising the education level of as many people as possible. That's a high priority for us at DPR Surveillance Equipment. Now, this particular session, we're going to focus on something that we know a little bit about, okay? This has to do with how a spy camera system or spy camera technology ended up in the hands of the Chinese. Now, the Chinese government is not stupid. The United States government, on the other hand, is pretty incompetent, particularly when it comes to understanding why it's important to control and just make sure we realize the implications of surveillance and security equipment and how that technology is used in the United States. See, we have a lot of companies in the United States that sell spy cameras and GPS trackers and everything else that we sell, but they're not necessarily manufactured in the United States. A lot of this technology comes from China. Now, that is the most stupid policy that I can think of when it comes to protectionism and protected industries and all of that. And Donald Trump talks a lot about, certain industries are not that well served in the United States, our companies here, and how we're at a disadvantage. Well, I think one of the main industries would probably include surveillance and security, mainly because as we protect our highways and our government buildings and our research centers, universities, etc., corporate America, for instance, then maybe we can protect some of that intellectual property. When you have spy technology coming from China in the way of, watches and pens with hidden cameras and microphones in them that anyone can get for $200 or less, that's a potential threat. So I'm not quite sure whether or not, the United States even understands how serious this issue is. I've heard of numerous situations where some of our research projects and our intellectual property has walked out the door, mainly because of industrial espionage. Some Chinese citizen would magically show up into your corporation, get a job, work in R&D, work in marketing, work in these various critical areas, and somehow, after getting permission to work late hours and such, they would end up stealing all of your intellectual property, stealing all of your trademarks and secrets and patents, and taking that information, literally putting everything on a thumb drive and walking right out the door. So I think we need to be careful about what it means to not grow our own surveillance companies, our own security companies in the United States. And it may cost a little bit in the short run, but in the long run, I think that $50 billion that you literally wasted because you had a program at Skunk Works with Lockheed, or you had black box programs with, who knows, Northrop Grumman or something, and a few spies with $200 or $300 worth of gadgets in their pocket, were able to compromise your entire program. So the 20, 30, 40, $50 billion is now a waste of taxpayer money. And I'm sick and tired of, investing my time and energy and by way of my taxes and such, just to find out that we've totally lost control over these critical areas where we're supposed to be coming up with advanced planes and weapon systems and all of this, just to find out that the Chinese now have more information about our projects than we do. So that's kind of weird. Anyway, getting back to the story, there's a person by the name of David Brady. He was lead researcher at Duke University, I think, and they had a program with DARPA whereby he was trying to get his spy camera technology off the ground, working with DARPA, Defense Advanced Research programs. That's a major incubator, for instance, if you will, for companies who want to, get a jump start, get government funding and such for their projects, get them off the ground, get them up and running. A lot of those guys go through DARPA. So anyway, David Brady went through DARPA, lead researcher. I guess DARPA didn't see the future, didn't see the vision with David's his spy technology, basically a spy camera that had with 19 lenses or something, 100 megapixel, able to zoom in from a football field and sees, amazing detail. He actually, that didn't work out very well with DARPA, and eventually David Brady took that technology to Kickstarter, and unfortunately Kickstarter has proven to be a major disappointment for a lot of companies. There's some, and there's some particular projects that got funded from Kickstarter, and stupid things like flashlights that happen to have Wi-Fi, and certain other things, pet rocks or whatever the hell that the public is falling all over themselves for. Basically garbage that is trendy and fashionable for 6 months, and then all of a sudden you don't hear from the people or the company, or you don't see the products any longer. But some of the more important things, like David Brady's spy technology, he had a target of only $25,000, I think, and he only raised $1,007. So, to have this particular type of disappointment going with your critical technology is not very encouraging. $1,007 out of $25,000, that was his target that he wanted to raise. But anyway, that's what he ended up raising, $1,007 on Kickstarter for this Acuity. He eventually branded his company Acuity, AQUETI, Acuity Technology, which later became Acuity China Technology. I think he called it afterwards. But we're going to get to that. Anyway, he was disappointed. with the results from Kickstarter. Eventually, like a lot of American companies, they wisen up to the idea that the money is not in the United States. If you want to raise some real money, and you go to Chinese investors. Chinese are pouring $30 billion a year into public safety projects, and this was a public safety project. Their AI research alone is bringing in at least $2.5 billion a year right now. They're going to dominate in AI. At this pace, they'll get such a lead in artificial intelligence, it'll be almost impossible for companies in the United States to keep pace. Anyway, David Brady brought on board William Wang. He is an investor from China who saw the vision, understood the technology, saw the potential, and they ended up raising at least $28 million in the second round of financing. So that $28 million in just the second round was very encouraging to David Brady. And lo and behold, they finally got contracts with the Chinese government. And now Tiananmen Square has Acuity China technology in use in Tiananmen Square in China. And this is another example of where we dropped the ball. Regulators and different people here who are more used to saying no and not understanding technology is a major problem. And I'm seeing this over and over again, even in the cryptocurrency space. But that's another topic for another time. But yeah, we need less lawyers probably and more engineers in some of these high positions, and especially people with vision. If we don't have the type of people who can actually see the vision, then it doesn't matter what we're trying to come up with as entrepreneurs. Because if you don't see the vision, the vision of the future in these technologies, in these products, and the only thing you're concerned about is protecting the status quo or whatever stupid motive you have, then that's what's going to happen. The Chinese are going to come in, the Russians are going to come, whoever, they're going to come in, they're going to scoop up this technology, they're going to deploy it in their countries, they're going to test it out on that test bed of 1 billion people, and they're going to find out exactly what works and what doesn't work. Right now, China's surveillance technology is being deployed on massive scales in China, and some might say it's only used for human rights abuses and such. But, technology in and of itself is only part of the story. As you all know, in the United States, you don't need so much technology to oppress your people. You just need stupid people in Washington who will not do anything to help enforce the Constitution. So you don't need technology to do that. All you need is stupid people who are backwards looking, who want to protect the status quo, who want to protect the self-interest of corporate America, the dying dinosaurs of yesterday. Those are the people who are being protected. They want to maintain their monopolies as long as possible, whether or not they have superior technologies, products, actual demand or not. When you give people the power of monopoly positions and such, that you typically squash innovation. You squash entrepreneurship. You squash that desire to bring your project to the United States and such. That's why people get discouraged and they look to other countries. So unless we want to keep going this direction, we need to do something about it. Anyway, the spy technology, Acuity technology is alive and thriving. Other technologies, quantum communications, AI, robotics, you name it, these things are really gaining traction, gaining a lot of investor interest, gaining a lot of actual money. because, like they say, money talks. In the United States, for whatever reason, we put ourselves in a position where we're not backing up all of the talk with actual money. So I think we need to reevaluate what we're doing. And the bottom line is, some particular industries are more important than others. And in my opinion, surveillance and security equipment, these technologies are critical to protecting our infrastructure, to protecting the intellectual property, trademarks, patents, and such. If we're going to use that particular mechanism for protecting your work, your body of work or whatever, then you got to have a way of monitoring it and making sure that it doesn't walk out of the door. So I think they go hand in hand. If you don't know, if you're not investing in your local manufacturers who are doing, spy technology, GPS trackers, bug detectors, counter surveillance equipment, anti-terrorist products, if these industries aren't funded and nourished and grown domestically, then they get funded, grown, and nourished by others who may or may not have the same interests as those in the United States, as far as protecting our rights and our investments in R&D and research and all of that. The same things I've been mentioning over and over again. Anyway, this is the conclusion of this podcast. We just wanted to get the word out to let people know that another area where we dropped the ball, and David Brady and his company, Acuity China Technology, William Wang, these entrepreneurs, these investors are teaching us a valuable lesson in that we need to wake up and understand what industries are critical, which ones are the high priorities, and how do we protect them, and above all, how to nourish and grow these industries so that they don't leave and become the properties of other who may or may not have our best interests at heart. Anyway, we're going to conclude this particular podcast, and as usual, we want you guys to be safe out there. Keep your eyes and ears open, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.